Hi everyone, you are joining me in my makeshift quarantine studio. Welcome. I'm going to be TAing for Matthew this semester. I'm really excited to work with all of you and get to know you a bit better. I thought I would start by sharing what my home studio setup is like. Maybe it will give you some ideas, maybe not, but it's just a chance to get to know each other a bit better. So welcome to my studio, and let's take a closer look. Alright, so now you are looking at what I like to call my paint cart. I found this guy actually on the street. I do a lot of what I like to call junkin', which is just walking around on garbage day and finding some studio things or art making materials. This cart was great. I think it might have been in a kitchen at one point. It also came with these bins at the bottom, which I keep my paints in. I use this middle rack for random storage. Let's see. I have gloves that I like to use if I'm oil painting, although I do try to avoid oil painting in my home studio. But those are fabulous. Let's see what else I have. My favorite studio tool, likely, is this razor blade that I use to scrape the paint off of my glass palette, which Matthew has showed you. I have a bunch of these shims. I paint a lot on the floor, so being able to raise the level of my painting has been really helpful. Let's see, what else do I have here? Shells. That's important to have it in your studio. I have tape, painter's tape, a whole stack of extra razor blades, mediums, scissors. These plastic things are great. I don't know where I found them. I think they came in some baking package, but I love tools like this that might not be used for painting, but they make some beautiful marks. I also use these paint stirring or maybe shims as well to kind of scrape paint across the canvas. And I have some dish soap, which is actually pretty good as a brush cleaner for acrylics. It gets rid of that quite well. I wanted to show you a closer look of the palette. This is the glass surface. As you can see, the edge is all wrapped with black tape. I believe it was hockey tape. You could use duct tape as well. And the back surface is the foam core. If you don't have access to foam core, I think it's pretty easy to find, but you could also substitute for cardboard. Just be sure to put a white or tone, like gray surface on the top. It just will be easier to mix your colors and be more accurate about your color mixing if you have that white or gray surface. I wanted to show you as well my nifty little saran wrap, which I used to cover the palette, and this actually works pretty well for me, and I use it instead of a wet palette. So if I'm working with acrylic, I will spritz the acrylic and then lay a sheet of the saran wrap over. You don't have to have the doodad, and it'll keep until the next day, sometimes even 2 or 3 days, depending on if I have mediums in the acrylic. So that's kind of a quick and dirty version of the wet palette, or another option. Alright, I just wanted to show you what I did with the floor. So you can see the ram board on the left, which I actually got from my landlord because he was doing construction and he had a roll of it left over. There's also cardboard here, which I supplemented with. That might be easier to source. I actually prefer working on cardboard or ram board as opposed to plastic on the ground. Just feel like it stays in place better, and I move around quite a bit when I paint. Alternatively, the plastic works really well. Here's my little painting corner within the small den area, I guess you could call, in our house. I have my window there for ventilation, which works really well. My paint cart, the painting that I'm working on currently, although often I choose to work just directly on the wall and will put a couple nails or screws in the wall and paint on there. This stool is great. This one is from IKEA. I put a throw cushion on there, sit on it while I paint, and I also use it as a step stool when I'm working on larger pieces and want to reach an area that is not, you know, close to my eye level. These are a few studies that I'm working on. I keep paints as well in these bins, which are available at the dollar store. These are fantastic. I probably have about 6 of those. I also work a lot in crates that you can see over here. This is another glass palette. I found a circular one, and underneath is a crate with all of my stock paints or lesser used paints. I keep all of my jars and cans and try to stay relatively organized with my tools here. So these are strange tools, palette knives. These brushes are mostly used for watercolors, and then I have my acrylic brushes here and my oil brushes on the palette. Here you can see the edging that I've done. If you tend to be a messy painter like myself, I highly recommend throwing some, like I said, dollar store shower curtain or this plastic sheeting that you can get at the hardware store on the wall. And also drop it directly to the floor so there is some overlap, because if you use watery acrylic paint, it can spill over. For this course we'll be working small, so it's not as big an issue, but if you decide to pursue painting in the future and start to work larger scale, this is a really great way to continue painting in your apartment and not make your landlord angry. So there you have it.